Hi everyone. Now that you've had a few days of our class under your belt, I wanted to give a few reminders, most of which I covered in that first introductory video and all of which are on the syllabus. But I thought it might be helpful just to kind of recap and make sure we're all on the same page. Hopefully you have some time to really think and digest this information because you're not just in the harried version of our first week of class. So here's some tips and tools to succeed in COM 322. First, as you probably discovered, since we did 2 units this past week, you need to do every unit kind of in the same way, right? There's reading posted, sometimes there's videos or YouTube clips. You also want to check out the Prezi, which substitutes our lecture time. You also want to chat on the discussion board, and I've given questions for every unit, but you can feel free to also talk or riff on anything that you want. And then there's a quiz, sometimes 2, associated with every unit. The best way to keep track of all of this stuff is in each of the weekly modules, you'll find like a little chart or checklist that has everything you need to do for that unit and the dates you need to do it by. And remember, there's multiple units for 1 week, okay? Unlike some of your other summer classes, I don't just have 1 week planned out. I have multiple units, and so you go by the unit, not the week. Oops, sorry about that. For our session, I want to make sure that you have these important due dates on your calendar. So every week we have quizzes. Pretty much for every unit, you have at least 1 quiz. Sometimes it's 2, and those quizzes can be found on Blackboard, and you have the prompt right there under the weekly modules. You'll have 2 exams, one that opens on 5/25 and one that opens on 6/15, which is the last day of the semester. You have a problem solver project, which is due on June 8th, and an infographic assignment, which is also due on the last day of the semester. Some important reminders that I want you to think about is the time that you need to spend on the class. So we cover the same amount of information in both my face-to-face classes and my online classes. So if you were in my face-to-face classes, you and I would be seeing each other about 90 minutes a day for 5 days a week for the 5-week session. So that means in my online materials, you can see that there's about 90 minutes of lecture time accounted for, right? By the time you do the Prezis, do the discussion boards, watch all the fun videos that I've linked, right? That should be taking you about 90 minutes. Plus you have outside of class time, right? You need to be reading, you need to be studying for exams and quizzes. And so if you are unable to commit to that, right, now is not a good time for you to be taking COM 322. And I understand because of some people's work time, that maybe you only log in 2 or 3 days a week. If that's the case, then you need to double or triple the amount of time that you allot for the class if you're only working on the class every 2 or 3 days. So really just give some thought as to whether or not now is a good time for you to be taking this summer class. A 300 level class is no joke, right? And you're doing it in 5 weeks. And so really confront if you have the time and the intellectual energy to commit right now. Also, in terms of the content, sometimes people are surprised about the content in this class. A lot of you have enrolled because you're kind of media junkies or you watch a lot of television. That's one of the reasons why I teach the class, so I feel that. But if you just want to kind of sit around and in a really casual way talk about like Breaking Bad, for example, this probably isn't the class for you. But if you want to really read a lot of theoretical, dense material that helps you understand the way popular culture shapes and is shaped by identity categories, then this is the right place for you. So you'll see a large variety of content. You'll see videos and reading, and you'll see a large variety of that reading, right? And some of the reading, including the stuff you're about to get into pretty heavily this week, is written by scholars, people who teach and research and, talk a lot scholastically about popular culture. And I posted a chart under one of the modules last week about how to do scholarly reading, that you read the abstract first, then you locate the thesis, and I just gave you some tips. And so you want to take a look at that. And I don't want you to get discouraged on maybe how long it takes for you to read that stuff. Sometimes it's a skill and you all are working to develop that skill. And I look forward to, seeing your evolution as we continue on in the semester. So those are just some important reminders to really ask yourself and spend some time thinking about. All right, some other important reminders is in an online class, communication is key, right? So I have office hours on Wednesdays from 9 to 11 on Skype. If those don't work for you, I'm happy to find an outside time. You also have my email and my cell phone number. As I've mentioned, I'm fine with text messages during the actual business day, though I prefer email. But I mean, if you need to text me, then text me. Just make sure you identify yourself and what class you're in. If you have a test malfunction, as I think I stated in the course policies, you need to try to let me know within an hour of the time that you started that test, right? That's just some way that I'm able to kind of really ensure the validity and the fidelity of the exam. The honor code still applies. So if you go outside of the test window and you cut and paste something from Wikipedia, I will move you through the academic dishonesty policy here at the university, right? The exam is designed for you to use your course notes and your course materials, but not a friend and not any outside materials. Unfortunately, I feel like people maybe feel like they're invisible in an online class, and let me assure you that you are not. And just one quick reminder, I don't take late assignments. You know when the due dates are, you can upload them really at any time. I mean, I have, the assignments already created on Blackboard now. And so if you know for some reason you're going to have a problem, turning in something or taking an exam early or taking an exam on the day that it's scheduled, then you need to let me know now and we'll make arrangements for you to turn it in early. I accept, no late assignments without penalty. So just as you're planning for these next, few weeks as we finish our semester, I just want you to keep these things in mind, and I will talk with you very, very soon. Bye.